Hey, muy buenas noches, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well, blessed, and enjoying family. As always, gracias to everyone for everyone's words, wishes, prayers, and the love and support you guys extend my way. From the heart, thank you. And to get right into this one right here, this one's gonna be a little different. Nevertheless, after analyzing it from different aspects, I think it's perfect and it goes hand in hand with the message that I've been trying to put in since day one, right? But I would like to say a couple things before I get going, right? First and foremost, this is gonna circle around the situation with Kimiko. Not him specifically, because I don't know him, right? In my respects, I just don't know the vato. And second of all, you guys know I'm not on here to spread poison. So that's not what this is about, right? And nor am I glorifying someone going to that side. I never believed in it, and even though things played out the way they did, I still don't believe in it. You know, I know a lot of people are gonna judge me and come down at me and be like, "Fool, you're confused still," which I probably am, but you know, without getting into myself, it just goes deeper than just La Causa, where I grew up and did my time at, right? It extends to my family and, well, anyways, I don't glorify on things I do, nor specifically on going south, right? Inside. Anyways, like I stated, this is gonna circle around the circumstances of, I don't know if he was a homie or a resident that just ran with the homies inside, or I seen a couple of his things a while back. You know how he makes sketches basically on how it works inside, right? Or how camaradas deal with certain situation. Just brought a little bit of a smile to the topic, right? And I didn't even know he was busted again. Today I just started seeing YouTube and it's everybody's talking about it. And this ain't gonna be the same topic, right? Just different channel. But just to be clear on what we're speaking on, I guess homeboy, he got busted, caught some time, from reception. He just happened to go through one of them yards, right? That it's a 50-50 yard, or how we would know it, right? It's a no stay yard, curfew yard, however you want to put it, right? It's been a thing, a topic recently, and I put out a story a while back about this certain issue specifically, and it's there's a lot of different ways to look at this. For one, this vato did what he did. As far as I've heard, he has family, and for somebody to make that decision, right, to f his day or one's date off just cause you say so, and stay away from your family when nobody knows nobody's situation. We take it out the norm, right? We look at it from a human's perspective. It's a lot of families that depend on somebody, on an individual, and one only knows when you're sitting in a jail cell if that's the case, and just the thoughts of what your family, kids, wife, whatever, are having to deal with because the dummy decided to get busted again, right? Again, this ain't about this individual, right? We'll cross over to the topic. I was going to do this in the reaction channel, but I got something good coming for that channel that I felt went more with the message on this channel. You know, and I want to just basically do this episode or whatever with a bunch of questions for you guys. And the first one is, what would you do? Let's not go down that road, right? First and foremost, me personally, doing so much time, I couldn't even put myself in that situation, right? I'll be honest, I always been an idiot. I went to YA with a little bit under 3 years, and I went in with that mentality I wasn't coming home. It's always been my mentality. I never value life, right? And it includes my family. And it's sad, in reality, if one as my age or older or a little younger sits down and really puts oneself in one's family and the suffering they do for an individual that, at least in my case when I was there, the only thought is, let's boogie. La causa. Second question though, what is the causa? In my case, I became a sureño long before I even ever heard about the MN, right? I went in, I stayed 10 toes with what it meant to be a sureño, right? And not gonna say I did it good, but I knew how to follow orders, right? Because that's what, in reality, I always been, right? Just a follower. You know, I went around my whole life saying, I'm my own man. I ain't nobody tells me what to do. When in reality, that's BS. I told a story how a lot of vatos like King Nico went bad. For level two, level one, because they were doing the same thing, right? They were flipping the yards to 50-50. But there was a lot of vatos already on that yard that were there beforehand and were going home soon. A lot of vatos stayed for whatever reason, right? Again, I don't agree with him. Me being stupid, I would have gotten off wherever it came through, right? It was just that, right? And you know, the closest I came to curfew yards was Solano and Vacaville. I never needed to get off because they got off on us first, right? And nowhere near the curfews. But anyways, a lot of people feel like this. You see, I spoke about a pili a long time ago. For those that remember, would remember, right? From Coachella, and this vato from Coachella, we'll just call him M.O. Melon. His placaso's Melon, right? And before he got onto the fire camp that it was, right? There was a curfew on that yard. Well, one got put on again. Excuse me, I don't remember if it's starting to go 50-50 or I don't know what the cause was, right? Before Melon got there, why they all of a sudden put a curfew on that yard. There's many, many reasons, right? Like Solano, it wasn't because it was a bad yard. It was just if it was a norteño's yard. If you stayed on the yard, it meant you weren't with it. Overall, that's what they were trying to say, right? How you gonna last in a yard when norteños are constantly taking off on sureños? Then there's something fishy there, right? And Vacaville, well, I guess if you get sick in the system, it's just part of, right? And I understand Vacaville because, or at least there's a lot of funny stuff in Vacaville, right? On that linea, because it's a medical facility, so I understand. I understand that curfew perfectly, or how it became, and specifically right now, and there's no wars amongst Raza, right? So of course, if there's a 50-50 yard where there's norteños that are saying F the NF, then we can't program there. It would just be bad for business, you know. But or vice versa, right? I think they would do the same. Paisas, well, we're the same program, so they still don't function like we function. A lot of them, they're gonna stay. Period. Point blank. But anyways, getting back to Malone, right? I don't know. He paroled. He was under the shadows, right? He wasn't known like that when it came to Federico's and squad or whatever, right? And he got busted for dope. You know, he was high and he crashed. Tecato type of thing, right? And it was his like sixth, seventh violation over dope. Anyways, he went to reception and somehow, some way, he made someone glad. He earned someone's liking or got real good in someone's pocket by feeding it or Bena, and he got made. When we heard, hey, there's a new carnal, Pelon from Coachella, I would never heard of that camarada, right? And it was a surprise to a lot of people, including Pilis. It was a time where books were flimsy. Pilis were making decisions without taking the proper protocols. Nevertheless, at the end, he had he had ways of making money or getting to things to make money. You guys get it. So his membership never got questioned by other members because they was going to skate, scratch from it, right? Benefit from it. In reality, that's above the causa, their causa too. And but they sent him to that fire camp. That by this time, for a year, people getting out from this fire camp were getting whacked by their own neighborhood, or they got out, did their thing. They ever get busted, they were on that list already. There was a lot of people that were still there that decided to stay. It wasn't worth it, right? They felt that I'll be real sincere with you guys. I had, I don't know what to call it, right? But through all, I had the benefit to speak straight to Melon, right, in person. And, I'm always a nosy ass fool, especially when it came to us, right? And like I said, for those that don't believe me, I understand, but I never been about breaking homies, taking their career, especially when they're in a position when they're able to benefit themselves and go home. You see, I was a lifer, but I was never that lifer. Just because I'm going through misery, which I never was, I'll be honest with you. I wanted to bring it on all camaradas, nah, chales. Then what the hell are we doing here, right? If they went home, they were more useful on the streets. It's just facts. But there's hating ass people that don't see it like that. Melon did, right? Supposedly, this is what he told me. When he got there was 100 camaradas that decided to stay that should have been no good. But he told me, look, I wasn't gonna catch time. I wasn't gonna mess my short term up to take off on one of them, right? And so did the next thing. I said there was feria to be made in the yard, and that angle why it got put on curfew was not there no more. I made it good again. All them bottles, I brought them back into the fold. You know, and I did ask, what about those though that got hit or moved on, right? Well, they went to that side. Nothing we could do for that, right? But in reality, it's just a game playing, right? You got an individual, because that's what it boils down to, right? The ML don't make a decision as a whole. They're always at each other's throats. A decision is made by one Billy, a member, to his liking. Till it's either politic done or other members comes and he knows he's in the wrong, so he hides things. That's the Gato's world, right? So basically, oh wow, from his own mouth, that yard should have never been on the curfew. There was a lot of he said, she said about level ones and camps all being flipped when it wasn't true. There were still some that weren't 50-50, right? And he stayed there till your parole. So all this was cool, right? I had gotten a response like, okay, at least he saw the yard and he cleared those that eventually were gonna get hit that they weren't basura. But no, he paroled. The minute he paroled, another Billy felt he wasn't getting what he was getting from the yard. He put it back on curfew. started placing people on that list just because he decided to. Anyways, the objective of the message is the next. Why I'm even touching on this. It's what I speak on, right? Where is what we are? Keep in mind, we always speak residents, Southsider, camarada, sureño, campolero, whatever you want to call us, right? But when things like this happen, and when one individual says it's good, the next saying is God. It's not just playing with emotions. It's playing with what one is or should be, right? It's holding it down to not stain the neighborhood with something bad, with a bad name, right? But they don't allow that. And we can't question them. So the next thing is happening, right? I said it before, there's gonna be an uprise, if you want to call it that. You see these vatos, they're at Sureños' throats. Just keep a pinpoint, neighborhood wise, pinta wise, family wise, whatever you want to look at into it, right? But tell me, when have one of them bust a grape real short? You heard for a while many pilas were getting hit and killed. What happened to them bucking up and being this soldado, right? That's why there should be there. That's why they should have that position. Not because another bunch of tecatos decided to give them that position to maintain that addiction coin in circles, right? Because that's all it is. I said it before, we're just chasing the feria. They're dope. And, I seen a lot of people get stabbed in the time I was busted. I seen a lot of camaradas, get hit, but they didn't bolt up and allow them to take his life. That's a coward's move. And people are gonna be like, I'm wrong for it. Okay, I'm wrong for it. I won't go too far. Mugs from El Monte, when they hit him, three individuals, box cutters, fierros. They did it for a long time. That fool never bucked down. He would actually end up putting hands on the vatos. And it wasn't to take his win, it was a checada, but it was when things were still stupid, right? When camaradas had that little itch on the shoulder that we were still using box cutter on good camaradas, right? The reason it didn't stop because he didn't allow it to stop till he decided to. Yeah, they got him. They got him, his whole face, everything, right? But I want to end this with this. What's the fear, right? Was the fear that to the point that you have to be locked up? I said it before, if you're there, boogie, handle it. But handle things accordingly. You get busted for whatever reason, and you get sent to a place and get given a chance to go back on the streets just because an individual is not getting no dope and money from one yard. He decides to put the whole Ramfla on the yard, on the shit list. But maybe this is just me, and that's the last question I ask. You guys see camaradas already getting tired of it. They prefer that title. than to listen to the BS that's being put out by these individuals. So my question ending this is, when that happens, since we're just programmed to follow, what's gonna happen as a Ranfla? Never wanna be poisoned. Stay true to yourself and loyal to loved ones. God bless. Buenas noches.